Hello, brains. So recently I had a conversation with someone who was frustrated because they were talking to an autistic person and felt that the other person wasn't processing their words fast enough. They said, "I feel like he's autistic and it's taking him so long to process what I'm saying. Does he not listen?" And this made me want to do a video on what autistic slow processing is really like. Hi, I am Jag, just taking a quick break to explain some things. As late diagnosed autistic and ADHD, still figuring things out one day at a time. I use AI to help me create videos so I can share my message more clearly. It helps me concentrate better, stay organized, but also tap into my creativity. This channel is a safe space for anyone who found out later in life and thought, now what? Here, I will share tips, tools, and stories I wish someone had told me when I first started this journey. If you are feeling overwhelmed, curious, or just want to feel a little less alone, you are in the right place. I know that there are tons of videos about this online, but from the perspective of someone who is autistic. I can relate to what it's like when we're processing things slowly and how it can be frustrating for our neurotypical friends. I am a small channel just starting, so please help me out by liking, sharing, and subscribing so I can continue to advocate for us neurodivergents. I think the best way to explain this is to break it up into two different scenarios. The first one will be where the autistic person is aware that they're processing slowly, and the other one will be where they don't realize it. In the first scenario, let's say you're having a conversation with an autistic person and they're taking a while to respond to what you're saying. You may feel frustrated or impatient because you're used to processing things at a faster rate. Let's imagine that you've invited your friend over for dinner and you ask them, "Hey, would you like chicken or fish?" And they look down at their feet and say nothing for a few moments. This could be really annoying to you, especially if you're hungry and just want to eat. You might think, how are you supposed to take that long to decide between two options? What are you thinking about? It's just food. In this situation, your friend may be going through a lot in their head even though it doesn't seem like it to you. Every little thing that we say has multiple layers of meaning. So when we speak, we need to make sure that we choose the right words so that the other person understands us correctly. If we don't carefully select our words, the other person may misinterpret what we mean, and that could lead to confusion or conflict. So before your autistic friend speaks, they might pause to consider what the best way to phrase things is. They might also be thinking about how you might react to what they say. When we have these conversations, we want to make sure that we express ourselves clearly, but we also want to make sure that we don't cause any distress or upset. We might even go back and forth in our heads trying to figure out the perfect thing to say. All of this takes time and effort, which is why we might pause or go silent during a conversation. On top of that, everyone processes things differently. Your friend might be thinking about what you said in small chunks, kind of like chewing with your mouth closed, whereas you might think about it more like reading a book. Some people even process things like watching TV, where they see each scene individually, whereas others see everything at once. Because autistic brains think differently than neurotypical brains, we tend to process things differently, too. It might seem like we're listening, but we might actually be thinking about something else. We might be trying to sort out what you said and figure out how to respond. Or we might be thinking about something completely unrelated. Sometimes we might even get lost in thought and not realize that you're still talking. We're sorry if this happens, but we hope that you can understand that we're not ignoring you. We're just busy processing everything in our own way. Now let's talk about the second scenario where the autistic person isn't aware that they're processing things slowly. In this case, let's imagine that you're talking to someone and they don't seem to be listening. They might be staring off into space or looking away. This can be really frustrating because it feels like they don't care about what you're saying. They might even act confused or ask you to repeat yourself multiple times. Even though they didn't seem to be listening the first time, this can happen for a few reasons. First, the environment around you might be overwhelming for them. Maybe there's loud noises or bright lights making it hard for them to focus on you. Or they may simply be overwhelmed by the amount of information that they're receiving. It can be tough to keep track of everything, especially if you're not sure where to start. Additionally, some autistic people have trouble with auditory processing. This means that even if the environment is quiet, it can still be hard to focus on someone's voice. There are also differences in how our brains store memories. Autistic people often have trouble recalling things from the past, which can make it hard to follow a conversation, especially if there are a lot of details. Another reason why autistic people might seem like they're not listening is that they might be processing things differently than you. For example, you might be used to processing things in a linear way, but an autistic person might think about things more like a spider web. They might be able to see all the connections between ideas and things, but they might have trouble following a step-by-step set of instructions. It's important to remember that just because we're autistic doesn't mean that we're not listening. We might be thinking about what you said, but it might take us a little longer to respond. We hope that you can be patient with us and give us the time that we need to process things. If you notice that we're taking a long time to respond, you can always ask us if we need a minute to think. If you're talking to someone and they seem to be struggling to process what you're saying, here are some things that you can keep in mind to help them out. First, try to be patient. Give them the time they need to think and don't rush them to respond. This can be hard if you're excited to talk about something, but it's important to remember that they need to process what you're saying in their own time. Second, make sure that they're in a quiet place where they can focus on you. If there's too much noise or visual stimulation around you, it can be hard for them to pay attention. Try to find a quiet place where they can focus on you without distractions. Third, break things down into smaller chunks. If you're talking about something complex, try to break it down into smaller pieces. This can make it easier for them to follow along and process what you're saying. Fourth, give them time to process what you're saying before asking them questions. This can be hard if you're curious, but it's important to remember that they need time to think. Asking them questions before they've had a chance to process what you're saying can be overwhelming. Finally, be patient and understanding. Remember that processing things differently is not their fault. It's just how their brain works. Being patient and understanding can make a big difference in how they feel when they're talking to you. I know this is hard. It's hard for us to put ourselves in someone else's shoes, especially when we're feeling frustrated. But next time you're talking to an autistic person and they seem to be processing things differently, try to be patient and understanding. Remember that it's just how their brain works. This brings me to an important point that I want to make. As autistic people, we should also be mindful of how long it takes us to process things and try to be considerate of other people's time. I know that this isn't easy, but if we can all do our part to make communication more accessible, we can make the world a better place for everyone. Thank you for watching and subscribing. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and share it with others. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet, so you don't miss out on future videos. Have a great day. Please don't feed the trolls. All they want is attention. Not the right kind. So go on ignoring them.